Good afternoon and welcome to today's edition of Black Health Trust. We are so happy you chose to spend this time with us, and we are going to have an interesting conversation today. Um, it's going to potentially step on a lot of toes, I suspect. So with that tease, I will turn it over to Dr. Maxey.
Thank you very much, Dr. Barbara Davis Stevens, Dr. Ivan Walsh, Dr. Lawson, and Simon, and all of our guests who are with us today. So our topic is the dangers of sugary foods. But before I get to that, I read an article today that just really peed me off. And I was so concerned about it. And I think I have about 10 grandchildren. And 3 of them are between the ages of 1.5 and 4. And I read that the U.S. Congress has decreased the budget for a program called WICS, and I'll let Barbara Davis Stevens tell us what WICS is, by almost 80%. This budget cut disallows mothers with young children to get vegetables, healthy foods, etc. And this is a time of life when their brains require good food to grow. It allows them food to learn. And I was just upset we can fight wars. We can cut other things. We can build swimming pools. We can build ballrooms, do cryptocurrency. But how in the hell can you hurt our kids like that? And maybe Dr. Neighbor Stevens to have a word on what WICS is in detail. But I was just so upset that we could be so callous as to do something to hurt the least of us, our children and our progeny and their potential development. And I presume that not only are there Caucasian kids who can't afford it, but I believe it's targeted mostly at our kids. And I'm just so upset about it. I almost said, let's not even discuss sugar. Let's discuss why we want to do that. That's just plain EVIL. And I got my rant off my chest. Read them through politely, Dr. Walsh.
Good job, Doctor.
I
said good job, and very important topic.
It is an important topic, and the WIC stands for Women, Infants, and Children, but it actually was renamed to SNAP. What I'm concerned about, now that you have brought it up and you just read the article today, I am very concerned. This happened a while back. It goes into effect in October with the new budget, but you're just now hearing about this, and that really worries me because a whole bunch of other things got cut in that budget, the health related, well, others as well, but specifically health related. And maybe it didn't make the headlines on the news. I don't know how it is that it got missed. And some of the summer food programs got cut as well, which impacts kids because they're not in school to get the school lunch programs. So, but it is not like a lot of things in this country. It is not new news. We do not regard children as the keys to our future. We have a history of policies that are anti-child. And yeah, I think maybe we should have a conversation about that, especially for elections.
Well, thank you so much. I'm still upset. I have to go drink some cold water.
And Dr. Maxey?
Yes.
I just want to talk about it from both ends. That is estimated that Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare are going to run out of money in the very near future. And I don't think the folks see the relationship. And that is, if you don't have any kids, you want to have them by the work to put some money in these programs. And so our elderly will become extinct as well.
Mm.
So let me comment, Dr. Maxey, on one of the points you made, because you mentioned our kids. And knowing you, I know you meant all of the children, no matter what their racial and ethnic background, because most of the children who benefit from school programs and from SNAP and everything else don't look like you and me and Dr. Lawson and Dr. Neighbor Stevens. We are a small percent of the population. And though we wind up with a large percent of the health challenges for a variety of reasons that we always talk about, when that money gets cut, that money gets cut to all the children who are at a certain poverty level in our country. And that's what we should all be concerned about, is that these cuts target people that can't afford these cuts. These are targeting people that don't have a lot of money.
And just
And so,
what you're saying, Dr. Walks,
yes, ma'am.
more than 50% of the kids in this country, their births are paid for by Medicaid.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let me make this point. It's almost like we're playing poker. I'm gonna call your cards on this one. Years ago there was a raid by the law enforcement on Attica Prison because the prisoners had some guards held hostage. And it was more important for them to show force against those hostage guards who were white. And they're willing to sacrifice them to get us the prisoners. So our government is willing to sacrifice those white kids to make sure the black kids don't get what they need. So it's very targeted that in order to do bad to us, they're willing to sacrifice their own as well. So I'm agreeing with you, and I'm going further.
Dr. Maxey, see, you want to play poker. I'm going to go a little further because as my sister likes to say, don't threaten me with a good time, because we have so many things that we do need to talk about with respect to how children are abused, is the only word that fits in this country, because all of the same people who are right to life, every child has to be born, life begins at conception, all of that, these are the same people that don't give children the food that we've been talking about. And oh, can I mention EPSDT, early periodic screening diagnosis? Listen, there are so many things that get cut that make children less able to be healthy, which means they are less able to learn, they are less able to pay attention and behave, all the stuff we want them to do. So, Dr. Maxey, this is not a 5-minute discussion. We consistently in this country do things, policy making things that give our children less and less and less. And it is inconsistent with the argument about how important our kids are. It's absolutely inconsistent with that argument. I'm sorry. Oh,
Well,
I'm sorry. You were the one that was supposed to rant today, not me.
You started this. So I saw a story this morning on Japan. And I guess you're saying, now, how is this related to what we're talking about? In Japan, they have very little obesity. And you might say, well, that's probably because of the foods that they eat, but it's much deeper than that. What they do, again, and this started after World War II, all the children eat school lunch. School lunches are a major production in the schools. They have highly trained nutritionists and chefs that supervise the cooking of the food. The food is delivered fresh daily. They practice something, and I forget the Japanese name for it, but they practice you don't eat until you're stuffed. You eat until you are satisfied of very good quality food, balanced food.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody in the school, from the teachers and the principals have to taste the food every morning
Mhm.
before it is served to the kids to make sure that it is of the quality that it has to be. Now, as a result of that very early learning practice, as they get older and become adults, they choose well-balanced meals. They eat sufficiently. They walk everywhere and they don't have obesity.
And just to add on that, there's been a study done a while back. If you give kids, before they start getting some of our processed food, a cafeteria or a choice of foods, they will choose healthy foods. It's only as they develop later do they get exposed to processed food that they stop that choice. And that's been demonstrated multiple times.
Oh, very good. So, Simon, let's go with our slides on our topic for today.
Right. We have about 10 minutes left, Dr. Maxey. We can get to the slides.
Okay. So, our topic today is the dangers of sugary foods. And we know that sugary foods can increase the amount of certain types of cancers. What happened to our slides? So, what everybody needs to know about this, go to the next slide. Dr. Barbara Davis Stevens, you want to do this?
All right, and this is what I was thinking about when I said we're probably going to step on some toes today.
Mm.
Because as I know you all know, I'm a Southerner and I grew up on sweet tea. And, there was a time people would take offense if you didn't serve appropriately sweet tea with a slice of lemon on the side. But anyway, I digress. What are sugary drinks? Soda, sweet tea, energy drinks, sport drinks, fruit punches, and sweetened coffees.
Dr. Walks, next.
This slide, why the liver matters. The liver filters toxins, regulates metabolism, stores nutrients, and processes sugars.
So the liver is very important in detoxification. Just remember that point. Dr. Lawson?
How sugar affects the liver. Excess fructose promotes fat accumulation, insulin resistance, inflammation, and fibrosis. And I just want to know, we said the term sugar. What we're really talking about is the sugar that we eat, which is a combination of glucose and fructose, which is that combination is a fairly recent invention before the industrial revolution. All you had was essentially glucose-related products.
Excellent points, excellent points. And that insulin resistance and inflammation and fibrosis, which means scarring, happens because that fructose structure in the process of how it affects metabolism. That's Neighbor Stephen, take the next slide if you don't mind.
Journal of the American Medical Association study findings. Women consuming one or more sugary drinks per day had an 85% higher liver cancer risk, 68% higher chronic liver disease mortality. This was published in 2023.
I don't know why they did just women, but
They got to women.
we got to look more into that. But it's significant that women tend to have less health risks than a lot of men in their exposure. And there's a graph here. You want to take that to Dr. Stevens? I always give those to you.
Yeah, you do. So in this graph, which relates to that study on the previous slide, they looked at cancer rates and those who, again, that was of women. Women who had one or more sugary drinks per day had an 85% higher liver cancer than women who had uh, less than that. And you can see the difference in the two bar graphs, 10 versus 17.5.
Yeah. Dr. Walsh, you take the next one.
How cancer risk may increase. Cancer risk may increase because of obesity, insulin resistance, MASLD or fatty liver, chronic inflammation, and oxidative stress. Okay, other cancers linked. Emerging evidence suggests links with oral cavity and colorectal cancers. Looks like we lost Dr. Maxey for a minute. So, Simon, next slide, please. Should we rotate around Dr. Neighbor Stevens?
I think that's a good idea. Dr. Lawson?
Yeah, who's at higher risk? Diabetes, obesity, fatty liver disease, hypertension, family history. And I might throw in a little bit, I'm sure Dr. Walks is aware of it, and that is that certain chronic mental disorders also seem to be at higher risk as well.
Hidden sugar. Many beverages contain 8 to 18 teaspoons of sugar per serving.
And I might add that it's not just related to sweetness. For instance, ketchup has high degree of sugar in its content.
It's just red sugar.
Right.
I was just thinking the same thing. They give us all that sugar and it's not even sweet.
That's right.
And it's not just ketchup, many other things. You just taking the sugar in and you don't even recognize.
Right, exactly.
Anyway, sugar content, common beverages and sugar content in teaspoons. Here we go. Sugar content by beverage. Regular soda, 10 teaspoons. My goodness. Energy drinks, up to 14 teaspoons.
Yeah.
Dr. Neighbor Stevens, sweet tea, looks like it's about 9 teaspoons. And then sports drinks look like they're around 8 teaspoons of sugar. It's a lot of sugar in these things.
Yeah, and I challenge that 10 teaspoons in sweet tea because when you make a pitcher of tea, you only put about a half a cup
Yeah.
of sugar, and that's not 10 teaspoons to a whole big picture.
Mhm.
Right. And
But
certainly
and the
not
other
10
thing
teaspoons.
is what is sugar? But I presume sugar means sucrose.
Now they're talking about sugar. I think they're talking about sugar.
No, that is sugar is sucrose. And what's happened in recent years is they're now in the labeling, they now put on fructose as not sucrose and therefore less sugar. And then in some products, what they're doing is they're actually putting in other kinds of sugars that are even more have more concentrated calories. So I'm just saying be leery of the term sugar because
Yes.
it can be hidden, not in plain sight. They don't have a lot of sucrose, but especially for energy drinks, they use other ways to sweeten the product. And again, there's an interaction between artificial sweeteners and, quote, sugar, because many artificial sweeteners increase the solubility of sucrose.
So, Dr. Lawson, there was a comment in the chat asking about thoughts and opinions on artificial sweeteners. So it sounds like your comment and thought is no, we shouldn't be loving those either.
Yep, it's a processing. I use them, but I use them with caution. Artificial sweeteners do not have been shown not to cause weight loss, and that's really of how our bodies work.
Oh, Simon Cooper.
Yeah.
You know,
Dr. Maxey's back.
to that point, Dr. Lawson, I agree with you 100%. For all of the artificial sweeteners, we need to have a high degree of wariness. And although it's not a pleasant process, my approach, and so I haven't written any papers, I'm not an authority, haven't done any studies, but I know for me, I know salt was not good for me, so I weaned myself off of salt. And I knew sugar wasn't good for me, and I weaned myself. I just drink my coffee black in the morning. Well, it's not black. I put some milk in it, and that's it. It took a while, but I'm there.
Yeah,
Next slide, please.
I just want to know, there was a comment about homemade tea in terms of putting sugar. Again, when you make homemade tea, what you're probably using is sucrose. And that, unless you use honey or directly use fructose, you're running into the same issues.
Healthy alternatives. Well, water.
Mm-hmm.
I would put an asterisk by that. Hopefully good quality water. Sparkling water, unsweetened tea, infused water, and moderate coffee. Dr. Walt?
Can damage improve? Early liver disease may improve with weight loss, exercise, and dietary changes. So our body will try to heal itself. It'll try to get better if we do better. Is Dr. Maxey back with us? I think so.
Yeah, I just want to throw in, I'm sure you aware, Dr. Wolf, and alcohol does not help the liver to recover.
No, it doesn't.
Alcohol is not the liver's friend.
Not at all. Not at all.
Next slide, Simon, please. Dr. Lawson?
Protect yourself. Read labels. Reduce sugary drinks. Exercise regularly. Maintain a healthy weight. And I might add, again, when you read the labels, you may want to get your Google or your Chat GPT to check out to see what the terms really mean, because these groups have become expert at hiding the content right in front of you.
Mm.
Next slide, Simon, please. Take-home messages. Small changes can reduce risk. Your choices today affect tomorrow's health. Next slide, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
Yeah,
Dr.
I'm
Maxey, I'm going to make a quick point if you don't mind. That is the two areas that was not mentioned here at all is the one, sugary cereals. That's a really recent invention. At one time, cereals weren't loaded up with sugar. Then they found that adding sugar to cereals really helps sales. And so in the last decade or so, almost all cereals have become sugary.
You mean like Honey Nut?
That kind of nuts, sugary Cheerios, sugary crispy, Rice Krispie, all of them are sugary now. And the other problem is sugary alcoholic drinks. We say, well, if you having a lot of pina colada and so forth, that's no problem. Still got the same sugar in it, and they've really enhanced many of these very colorful looking drinks.
That's very, very important. I'm sorry, my computer bugged out on me. I guess I hadn't charged it up. But in terms of these things that we've discussed, the key point is that in many ways, I think we're hardwired for things that are salty, crispy, and sweet. And to the extent that we can divorce ourselves from the need to have something sweet all the time, it's going to make us potentially more healthy and have less cancer. I'm sure there cancer that just happen in a vacuum and affect everything else. So, any other comments in the chat that we need to address or questions?
Dr.
Yeah,
Max, I'm gonna make two quick points, two conditions that we need to be careful about. Is one, diabetics, in terms of their utilization of sugar and calories, and making sure you both avoid both hyperglycemia and hypoglycemia. And the other one is athletes who sometimes often overhydrate and can actually develop electrolyte imbalance, hypernatremia, and just sort of quick ones. People with schizophrenia are at special risk for developing hypernatremia, and I have a whole literature on that. Just Google me and you can read all about it.
yeah. One of the points that was raised early in the slideshow, maybe like the second or third slide, we talked about oxidative stress. And so there's a question, what is oxidative stress?
Mhm.
Okay. Anybody want to address that?
You got it, Dr. Maxey.
I appreciate you very, very much. So, oxidative stress is something that we see, and we usually think of a substance called L-arginine that's going against that. But oxidative stress is the fact that uh, metabolically, uh, we tend to lose electrons that affect the inside lining of our blood vessels. And we should actually do a whole show on reactive oxygen simulation, because what happens, we lose tissues, we become inflamed and have inflammation. Oxidative stress causes inflammation. And the other thing I want to talk about in that process is what is really the problem with what we call insulin resistance. And we did a somewhat humorous talk on protecting your assets, but we really were talking about the large muscles in your body, in particular gluteus maximus, because having muscle mass helps decrease your insulin resistance by giving glucose somewhere to go and not float around in your bloodstream, making things worse and adding to more fat, especially in your internal organs. So we talked a lot about metabolism, and metabolism is not just one thing. It's something that allows your blood vessels to be healthy, be appropriately dilated, to allow fat to be uh, not made so much, especially in your internal organs, including your heart, your brain, your liver, etc. So we spend a lot of time on that, uh, but we have there's no way to get around it. And in fact, there's a whole new diagnosis that they've come up with. We used to talk about the kidney being separate from the heart, being separate from the brain, being separate from metabolism, but they're all one thing.
Mhm.
One thing. Any other things we have to address?
So Dr. Maxey, you know that I tend to be the less L-arginine scientific guy. When someone asks me about oxidative stress, I talk about the fact that when we are helping people to do something positive, we talk a lot about what we should not do. Don't do this, don't do that. What we do ask folks to do is to eat stuff that helps with antioxidations, right? We talk about antioxidant food. We talk about making sure that your plate has different colors of vegetables and things like that on it. And so I think that we can certainly help with a lot of the important science so people understand how things work together. And at the same time, we can say, look, put some different color vegetables on your plate, put some things on there. Think about things that are going to be antioxidants that you can eat and positively look for those while you're looking to avoid the things that can cause oxidative stress. Did all that make sense?
That's a good answer. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. So we should go for our final comments, starting with Dr. Lawson.
Yeah, I just want to again note, as Dr. Our panelists have noted, that when we're talking about something like having healthy diets, drinking, and so forth, we really get into the interface between personal choices, what's available in terms of policy, and what's available in terms of our largest structure. Now, earlier we talked about some of the legislation affecting, but I'm born and raised in a rural community where such issues as having um, appropriate funding to get fruits and vegetables was a meaningless term because you couldn't get it. I've done at a meeting recently where we talked about many of our communities do not have grocery stores. So you can eat health. If you have infinite time, you can and infinite money, you can get taken care of. But many of our communities, the foods themselves simply aren't available. And then ultimately, personal choice. Again, good if the government can support these, but it really emphasizes the importance, and we look in terms of our own micro communities, in terms of the choices are made. Whether or not, I don't want to burn too many bridges myself. Do we need to have that new stadium over there, or do we need to make sure we have some more grocery stores in our community?
There you go. That's Ivan Waltz.
You just burned about 3 bridges, Dr. Lawson. maybe 3 is not too many. So Dr. Maxey, one of the things I did, I actually got a 10-year pin from the American Food and Commercial Workers Union because I worked in the grocery business for 10 years. And even if you have supermarkets in communities, the food that is in that supermarket is not the same as food in another supermarket. And I've worked on San Fernando Road in LA, and I worked at the Pacific Palisades supermarket. And I promise you, the things in there are different, or at least they were when I worked there. I don't think that's changed because the communities continue to be very different. So it's important for us to recognize that to go back to Dr. Lawson's point about telling people things that they just can't do, telling folks to get things and behave in a way that they don't have the resources to do is frustrating. And unless we understand the environment where our folks live, we can't really give them relevant advice. And most importantly, we can't give them advice they can follow. We tell them what everybody should do, but then we really dismiss the fact that maybe they can't follow it. And I think that's important for us to recognize as providers of all different kinds, that in order for us to really take care of the people who are coming to us to help us keep them healthy, we have to know about where they live and we have to know about what's available to them.
That's what I know this isn't part of the program, but I have to ask, what did you do in the grocery store?
Oh, I started off bagging groceries. Man, you should. My hands can move. I was better at martial arts when I started bagging groceries because you got to look and put stuff where they go. But then I was a cashier. I worked in produce. I worked in frozen foods. I worked the dairy box. I did not like the dairy box. I'd rather be in the freezer than in the dairy. Dr. Lawson, don't laugh at me. Look, in the immortal words of Steve Martin, I was born a poor black child. I had to work where there was work. So
I used to lay
y'all
asphalt, so I
amazed
don't
at the
know.
jobs I've had. I've had a lot of jobs, but 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 I actually saw, and because you asked me that question, I'll say that one of the challenging things I saw was us being asked to go into the dumpster and mash down the food that was in there so people couldn't come and get it out of the dumpster. Because even though the food was still good, we had to throw away the day old bread and it was still edible and still good. There was more concern about somebody taking something out of the dumpster and maybe it not being perfect than there was about getting people food that they could eat. So look, Dr. Neighbor Stevens can probably tell you all the 75 million things we could do better in our world, but I know about 5 million of them. There's a lot that we could do better.
Thank you. Dr. Neighbor Stevens.
I just want to tag on to what Dr. Walks was saying. When I was a college student, a group of Black students there at my college got a National Science Foundation grant, summer grant. And our project was to sample the orange juice in the grocery stores in the different communities around Boston and measure the vitamin C content.
Wow.
Guess where the higher vitamin C contents were and where the lower vitamin C contents were. And, I make no secret of it. I've had my 50th college reunion. So this was a minute ago that we did. This is not new news. But
Right.
like you say, we, all of us in our own way, in our own communities, need to do what we can do to make things better. There is no white knight coming in to save us. And I literally chose my words on that one.
Well, thank you very much. So my final comment, I'm going to comment on what you said, Dr. Neighbor Stevens. We got to take care of our kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Got to take care of our kids. I won't say any more than I've got to take care of our kids. And we know that there are a lot of forces out there against us.
Yes.
And amongst them are these food manufacturers. And there's concern about how they enhance their prices and make sure that they don't get cut out of making Honey Nut Cheerios and other things that sound good, sound healthy, but aren't. Protect yourself, protect your family, protect your children. Thank you very much today, my co-moderators. Pardon me for being offline for a few moments. And thank you, Simon, very much. Have a great, great Sunday. Enjoy the heat, humidity. Take care of your children. Have a good day.
Good day.
Good day, everyone.
Bye.